starting on another project today. I had a piece of leaf spring steel, and it's coming in like right at, what is that, three inches wide, and it got thicker as I went up. And but what I did was, and it was about 11 inches long. What I did at the bandsaw, well, first at the drill press I drilled a hole here, drilled a hole here. Then on the bandsaw I cut this way, and then I cut across. So what I'm trying to make is two miniature meat cleavers, and yeah, I made one last week, and I actually tried to heat treat it in water, and I actually cracked it. So it's actually, I tied that up to the chimes of shame just yesterday. So yeah, that was gonna be a nice one. I really liked it, but when I went to heat treat it, it cracked pretty much, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. But that was a lawnmower blade, and I think it was a spring steel lawnmower blade. And I was thinking that it was a just a regular carbon steel lawnmower blade. That's why I quenched it in water. But yeah, I think it was a spring steel. So, but I am working on this. I've already started to thin this one down quite a bit, and you can see that it's growing at a rapid rate. So these two were about the same size when I started. So I just laying it over the horn using my 6-pound short handle sledgehammer, and I'm just thinning this down until I get to the thickness I want. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and press on. That is what we're doing. I've already started. The forge is already hot, so I'll bring you in on a few heats, thinning this down, and then we'll get on to some shaping. All right, so I am using the horn to thin this down. I kind of wanted to talk about also Bobby Shields actually put up a really good video, and he had a very good conversation. That's Bobby Shields over at Dogbone Knives. He had a very good conversation about using brand new steels in all of his projects. If you're going to be a maker and a seller, and you're advertising your stuff as high-end stuff, I agree with Bobby that yeah, you better be using brand new steels. But there's also a flip side to that too. This is just my opinion. I'm pretty much just going to speak for myself. When I say something like, I'm working on this piece right here, and I say it's a piece of a leaf spring, or if I have something over there and I say it's a piece of coil spring, or this is just for an example. I'm making it from a spring. Now I know most spring steels can be medium to high carbon, simple carbon steels like back in the olden days, but they can also be like 5160 and stuff like that. Now if I had bought a piece of 5160 and I started making a project out of it, which I had before, it was actually a sword that I made out of a brand new piece of 5160, and it was a leaf spring, but it was a brand new leaf spring. I would call that 5160 if I knew what it was. I wouldn't call it a leaf spring. So I guess the reason I'm bringing this up is because Bobby kind of got me thinking about a lot of the stuff that I have for sale. I am a maker, I am a seller. And a lot of times when I list something, I'm going to go back and double check on my listings, but I always try to at least say what the material came from. So if I made a knife, I'll say, you know, this knife started off life as a leaf spring, or you know, this knife started off life as a file, or you know, this bottle opener started off life as a horseshoe. You know, just whatever, just to kind of get an indication that these are, you know, recycled materials, versus saying, you know, okay, this knife is a piece of 1095 known steel. So, you know, I would never list anything I have made up for sale and try to pawn it off as brand new steels. Well, really, I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm kind of saying it all wrong, is using the word brand new steels is kind of is not the right terminology. It's known steels is what he was saying. Known verified steels from a manufacturer. If you're selling high-end stuff, I really agree with that idea. But he kind of got me thinking that, as a maker and someone who's been doing this for a little while, not a great while, sometimes, when you kind of get involved in the lingo, to me, if I say something's a leaf spring, it's automatically assumed that this is not a known steel, which I can speculate on what it is because I know what they make spring steel out of, or leaf springs out of. So it's kind of implied, the fact that I'm saying leaf spring, that it has already been made into a leaf spring and used, and now it's getting reused. Versus saying, oh yeah, I have a piece of 5160. So, and I think that's okay. I mean, as long as you disclose the material in your listing, you make it aware. You make light of the fact that this was previously something else, and I guess not. Just not take for granted that everybody's going to know that a leaf spring, a coil spring, an old file. Not take for granted that they're not going to know that this is recycled material, and just make a note of that. I think I'm going to go back on my Etsy store, check on my listings, and just kind of make a note that, yeah, all these materials, if it's not made from brand new steel, is a recycled steel that started life as something else. So I guess we could talk about kind of the ethics of using like a recycled steel, which I kind of already talked about a little bit. In my opinion, as long as you disclose what you're using and what you're making your product out of, I think it's all fair game. And the other thing is, the price should reflect that. I mean, if I took this cleaver and I made this cleaver out to be the best looking cleaver in the world, I would never put a high dollar price tag on it, even if it turned out perfect, because I know this is made with materials that are being recycled. So, something like this, I would do a price point probably comparable to what like a Walmart knife would be. I think, I don't know, between $100, $125, somewhere around in there, is something kind of fair. Because at the very least, I know it's at least better than that. Walmart's selling knives between $70 and $100 now. Yeah, so if you're making knives and you're advertising these knives as indestructible and best on the planet, whatever. Hey, if they are, they are. You deserve to get paid for that. But if you're just saying all that stuff, and you're using materials to make all your claims pretty much baseless, because you don't even know what the materials are, yeah, I agree 100%. That is just wrong. But if you're just someone like me, hobbyist, I sell stuff just so I can buy more propane and more sandpaper. It's pretty much a net zero. Ever since all this 1099 nonsense started last year, pretty much proved that between all the receipts that I kept and everything that I sold. I think I made like a couple $100 for the entire year. So I basically just make stuff. I'll catch a sale every once in a while. Give me a little bit more money to buy some propane. Give me a little bit of money to buy some sanding belts, because this stuff ain't cheap. And it's just a self-sustaining hobby. So if I did get a commission where someone wanted something, I want this thing to be the strongest, the best, this, that, and the other, If I felt like it was something that I couldn't do, I wouldn't do it. If I feel like it's something I could do with materials I know how to work with, absolutely I'll do it. You know, 5160 I have no problems with. Any simple carbon steels I have no problems with. I've never done 80 CRV. I straight up tell people right off the bat I have no way of heat treating stainless steel. I try to be as honest as possible. If they just want a knife, I tell them, yeah, I can get you a knife. I can make you a knife out of some spring steel. I can make you a knife out of some file steel. Both of those steels are really good. They'll hold a really good edge. But yeah, you're going to have to take care of them. They will rust. People have tried bringing me lawnmower blades, want me to make them knives. And I'll be like, well, you know, this is hit or miss. It might make a good knife. It might not make a good knife. I just hung the other mini cleaver on the chimes of shame because I didn't know what it was. I mean, most lawnmower blades are just like I thought were like a simple carbon, medium carbon steel metal. Well, this lawnmower blade must have been higher quality because it was actually spring steel. I know that because when I quenched it in water, it cracked in about eight places. So, you know. Yeah, it's not even so much that the steel is old or new, it's just you got to know what you're working with. And all that makes the price go up. If I have to go and buy billets aren't cheap. The price goes up. You know, I'm just a hobbyist. I'm just out here making stuff for my own enjoyment. As far as I'm concerned, for the amount of time that I put into a lot of this stuff, I'm basically giving it away. And I'm fine with that. I'm just, like I said, trying to buy more Prepret, trying to buy more, you know, sanding belts, trying to buy more MIG wire. I ain't getting rich doing this. I'm not actually even making anything doing this. It's just a hobby. So, but if you are going to do this and you are going to try to make a name for yourself and make high-end stuff, yeah, absolutely, you better be buying brand new stock. You have to be starting with something you can definitively stand behind. So that's my thought on that. So I'll probably more than likely go through all my listings. At my Etsy store, just to make sure, double check I don't have anything misleading in my descriptions, because it's an extremely valid point, especially when there's so many people who aren't familiar with knives and metallurgy and all that. They just get it in their head that certain metals have magical, mystical powers, and when they buy something and something happens to it and it breaks, then you know they're really upset. So, you know, I'm gonna just go back and check all my listings and make sure there's nothing in there indicating that, yeah, this is some kind of super blah 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 steel. I'm pretty sure that most of my listings pretty much, I have to go back and double check, I'm not going to say that they do kind of indicate, you know, at what point what the metal started off as in life versus what I'm turning it into. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just thought provoking, and yeah, he brought that up, just got me thinking about it. And you know, if you're a maker seller, yeah, just keep that in your mind. You know, just disclose what you're selling. If it's recycled material, don't be ashamed to say it's recycled material. Just make the price point fair. If it's if you're going to have high price points, yeah, you better have all known quality, you know, stuff in your product, because you have to be able to stand behind it. So, and I'm going to stop beating that horse, I guess. All right. Now it is time to punch the iconic hole. I guess it's for hanging the cleaver up, I don't know. I typically like to punch this hole drift it out. Then I'll start to put the bevel in. And what that does, it kind of elongates the hole to what I think is a really cool shape. Almost like an oval. I like it. This punch right here, I've had this punch for a long time. Actually came in a tool set that I got for Christmas. Made by Craftsman. I don't think it's intended to be a blacksmith tool, but it does a daggone good job of getting holes started. Better than some of the other ones I've bought that were supposedly made by for the specific task of punching holes while blacksmithing. Look at that. Boom. Like butter. I dress it up every now and again. So now I'm going to run it down in. We're going to start to expand that out. And I'll probably pick it up to about 3/4 of an inch. Get this expanded out. Woo! I'm just expanding that out in the Prepret hole. I have a 3/8 of an inch Prepret hole. There it is. 3/4 of an inch hole. Get some bevels in here. Start down here at the edge. That radiant heat. This thing has so much mass. Holding your hand over top of this thing is it's hard. It's hot. All right, got a glove this time. So how many of the blacksmiths out there wind up with a whole bunch of brand new right-handed gloves or left-handed gloves, depending on, you know, which dominant hand you have, versus worn out. For me, it's a left-handed glove, they're all worn out. I have a stack of right-handed gloves up there that are brand new. Ooh. So there's just going to be more of that. I'm going to get it plenished out and red to black heats, get all the lumps out of it. So I'll bring it back when that's done.